Jose Portals. Thanks for buying TIP. First I'm going to break down how the gimmick works, and then I'm going to show you how to make the gimmick yourself. So first off, in the video, I show one card, and there is a block underneath, and there is a duplicate card in the deck. So this is how it works. You have this block. Now I'll show you what's inside the block in a little bit. As you see, it's a packet of like 10 to 12 cards. And you place the block underneath a couple of cards. Let's say here we have 6 cards. Now, in the video, I show that you can have the 2 cards examined, and you can. It's just that you're going to do a switch as soon as you receive the 2 cards back. So you'll have 2 cards right there. Okay. So you have 2 cards, and when you perform the switch, you just simply lean over like that, and the cards have now switched. Now the Queen of Spades that I had on this side, on top of the deck, has now switched with the Queen of Spades that I just received from them. So you have a duplicate Queen of Spades, and the other one is gimmicked. Now, the other card doesn't have to be gimmicked, and that is the card that you put on top. Now, the gimmicked card is this one, and this gimmicked card you're going to place on top of the deck, and it will naturally, well, it should bounce on top of the deck. And of course you can twist it. This one's a little old, so you can twist it like that, and it'll still stay bounced, just like that. Now after that, you can show the 2 cards. You place the Queen of Spades underneath, you perform the switch again, and you hand back that Queen of Spades and the 5 of Clubs. Now, you're probably wondering what's inside the gimmicked card and what's inside the packet that's underneath. I'll show that to you right now. What's inside is a magnet. In fact, the magnet is this big, and I prefer to use a magnet that's this big. Now, what's inside the other card, the Queen of Spades, is actually a washer. This washer, when it has a straight edge, will bounce right on top of the magnet, like that. So this is the core meaning behind the bouncing of the card. So the washer is inside the card, if you see closely, and the magnet is inside the packet. So once you have the packet put together and the washer put together, you can do more than just balance cards, but that's really up to you and when you get creative. So inside the packet is a magnet, and inside the card is a washer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make both the packet and the washer, and from there the rest of the deck is fine. The rest of the deck can actually be just a regular deck. So here we go. You're going to want to have rubber cement, and preferably this brand. This brand is at like Hobby Lobby, sometimes at Walmart. The reason why you want this brand is that it's clear. You want rubber cement that is clear. You don't want rubber cement like this. This rubber cement from Elmer's has a yellow tint to it, and so on the edges it'll show kind of a yellowish, it'll secrete on the sides, and it just doesn't look right. So these are the 2 things I'll use, the magnet and the washer. And then this is the deck. This is a brand new deck, and we're going to go ahead and take out the two cards. I have a Queen of Spades and another Queen of Spades. Now, this other Queen of Spades is from a Phoenix deck, and the Phoenix deck has very, very thin cards. And the reason why I'm using a Phoenix deck is so that when I place, actually you can use another card, so this Queen of Spades you keep. You can take a Joker and then the washer, put that on top, and then the Queen of Spades would go on top just like that. And so once it's glued down, it is actually very thin on the sides, and then you'll have a little bump on the bottom. Now that bump is barely visible, and that bump will never be viewed by the spectator because you always show this corner, and this corner, but never the bottom of the gimmicked card. Now, if you don't have a card from a Phoenix deck, you can actually, there are ways to split a card like that. I'm not going to go in depth about it since I already have a very thin card, but you can go ahead and split a card in half and use that thin part to lay it on top of your gimmick. So we're going to take a couple of cards for the packet. I'm going to take an amount that is as high as the magnet. So if you see the width of that magnet can fit inside these cards, then that's how many cards you can use. So the magnet and the packet will be put to the side, and then the thin card and then any card can be used on the back. So I'm just using a Joker, and the thin card will be placed on top. Now let's start with the card and then we'll get into the packet. So the card will need rubber cement. So that's what you're going to use to stick it together. And I'm going to go ahead and take some right now and lay it on the face of the card. Now this is a very complicated gimmick, but it has a very simple effect. And that simple effect is, when I perform it, is very visual to spectators. And especially when you return the cards back to the spectator to examine them. And from there they really look closely at the cards, and many of them don't realize that you actually switched it, the one gimmicked card in the beginning. And on top of that, the cards that are on top of the deck you can go ahead and show are ungimmicked. So I'm going to go ahead, if you see the washer is at the edge of the card, the very, very edge of the card. And this is actually why I named it tip, because everything is at the tip of a card. So the washer itself is at the tip of the card. It's not very creative, but it's pretty much defines the effect. And I'm going to go ahead and place some rubber cement on the back of this other card, especially on the edges. And we're going to go ahead and lay that on top of the card, making sure that the edges fit perfectly. Now you will have this very strange effect where the washer seems to cast a shadow on top of the card, and it's very hard to see. You barely see it on camera, but basically there's a little roundness that appears at the bottom of the card, and that's okay. It's not a big deal, especially when you have a court card, and it will be very distractive. As you see, her face pretty much distracts you from the actual gimmick, the dishwasher, the washer that's underneath. So right now mine is put together. As you see, the edges are completely fine. I'm going to go ahead and straighten it out a little bit. And then I can leave this to dry, and this will be the gimmicked card. As you see, it's pretty easy to make. You just got to make sure that those edges are straight and it looks like one card, especially on that tip right there. So now you have the Gimmick card. You can see a little bit of the washer on the bottom, but the whole effect, the card will never be seen from the bottom. So as you move it around like that, the washer will always be facing against you, towards you. So they never actually see the bottom. So you'll put this to the side. And now this is kind of the tough part, and that's creating the packet. And the packet has to be very well done. As you see, the packet that I created is completely stuck together. It looks pretty much like a glued together deck of cards, and it is, except inside there is a cut, square shape right in the middle, and there is a magnet inside. As you see, the magnet sticks right to the packet. That magnet, as you see, is right there. Now we're going to do the same thing to this packet. So I'm going to show you where the hole is going to be, and from there I'm going to fast forward it, because what we're going to do is every single card is going to have a hole in the middle. So let me show you where I put it. In between the two circles where the angel is on the bicycle, you're going to go ahead and cut a square right in the middle. And you're going to go ahead and take it out. Mine didn't come out perfectly, but I can fix that up. Okay. Now when you create the square, you have to check and make sure the magnet fits right in the middle. So mine fits right in the center, and we're good to go. So for every single card, all 15 cards, you have to make a hole that looks exactly like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. I'm going to fast forward through it. I'm just going to put all the scraps to the side. So, alright, here we go. Alright, so I finished cutting through all the cards, and we're going to go ahead and see if the magnet fits, and it fits nice and snug in the middle. So now will be the other part, which is to glue down all the cards together as one. So this actually kind of takes a while, so once again I'm going to fast forward it, and even though it's just 10 cards, it doesn't really take that much time, so I'm going to go ahead and start gluing. Alright, so I glued all the pieces down together, and they're pretty tight. They're all one packet, and I can go ahead and put the bottom card, which will hold the bottom of the magnet. So this card has no hole in it. It's the ace of clubs in this case. I'm going to go ahead and put down some rubber cement. And we're going to go ahead and put the bottom card right there. Just like that. Now, next is to put in the magnet, which should fit in like that. And if you need to, put in some extra rubber cement so it sticks inside in between the cards. And from there, we're going to put the last top card, which will go stuck to there, which will go on top. And this will be the final card. In this case, it's the 2 of clubs. And there you go. The packet is now complete. It is now ready for the effect. If any rubber cement comes out through the sides, you can go ahead and just go like that and just brush it away. That's with this rubber cement. This is best test quality. I highly suggest you use this rubber cement for any of your projects. And there it is, the gimmick is now ready. And just to test it out, you can go ahead and take your Gimmick card and just go ahead and bounce it right on top, just like that. And that's to make sure it works perfectly. So now the gimmick is complete. You have your Gimmick card and you have your Gimmick deck, and together they bounce like that, and you can push them around just like that. The card bounces naturally because of the magnet. Now, some suggestible tips, and it's important that you remember this. When you buy your washer, and for this case I bought Bulldog fender washers, the washer needs to have a straight edge, a straight flat edge, which means it literally is just flat. You don't want it to be crooked. If it's crooked, it won't bounce on top of the deck. That's very important. Not if it has a crooked edge, it'll bounce like that and the card will fall over. It needs to be straight like that so it bounces on top of the deck. That's like very essential that the washer is straight on the edge. There are a lot of washers that aren't well made that have a crooked edge, and to check, you just ask to open the box and just look at the edge, and if it's crooked, don't bother buying it. For the magnet, these magnets are at Hobby Lobby. They're just small neodymium magnets. Now, magnets are rated 1 through 10, and in this case, this magnet is rated at 10. They're not really that hard to find, but it's a very strong magnet for its size, which is very important in balancing the washer. And I'm just going to go ahead and put all my waste to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and show you from start to finish the effect. So you have your other card, which is your duplicate card, ungimmicked. You have your Gimmick card, and you have the rest of the deck. So here's how we place it. This is the one card that will be used to show to the spectator. Now, you'll place the packet underneath some cards. In this case, I'll take 5 cards and put it on top of the gimmicked packet. As you see, it looks like just a regular deck. There's a couple pieces of rubber cement because this is brand new, but in the end, it looks like one packet. So 5 cards on top, and just for a test, check to see if the card bounces. In this case, it still bounces right on top. It takes a little bit of effort, but bounces still right on top. And you go ahead and get ready to do the switch. So you put the Queen of Spades down on the deck with the washer facing towards you. You get a break underneath that Queen of Spades, and from there you take back the Queen of Spades and put it on the bottom, so the Queen of Spades is underneath the 3 of clubs. You go and square it up with the rest of the deck. You take that 3 of clubs and you take all 3 cards, the 3 of clubs and the Queen of Spades that's underneath, and you flip the Queen of Spades like that. So now you have the gimmicked Queen of Spades on top and the ungimmicked Queen of Spades underneath the gimmick. So this card can be ungimmicked. There's nothing wrong with it. and you place it underneath the Queen of Spades. So now, all in all, you have 7 cards on top of the packet. So this is kind of the tough part. You're going to go ahead and try to bounce the card. The card will want to force itself onto the deck, but you have to be careful not to do that. You slowly ease it on top of the deck towards the middle. Find a good balancing point and let it go. And the card will bounce. And from there, if you made the gimmick real well, you can twist the card. Sorry about that. My camera went off for a few seconds. You have your gimmick card. Mine is still a little wet, and because of the rubber cement, but you have a couple cards. So now, all in all, you have 7 cards. It'd be best to put some aside, so take 2 cards out. Now you have 4 cards, and of course you have the 3 of clubs and the Queen of Spades. So the Queen of Spades stays on top, and you go ahead and take the Queen of Spades, the gimmicked one, you balance it on top of the deck, just like that. Now to spin it, you really have to be really gentle with it, just like that. And you can go ahead and place it down very carefully onto the table for the spectators to look at. And there you go. That's how the trick is performed. I'm going to go ahead. Sometimes it falls over, but it's a very cool effect. It's very visual, nice to look at. And that's about it. Remember to use a clear rubber cement. This is really good and it's really cheap. It only cost me $2.99. It's called Best Quality Test. Small neodymium magnets, and make sure it's very powerful and should be on the scale of 10. A washer that has a straight edge to it. You're going to need, of course, a knife, deck, and that's about it. That's how you construct TIP.